cell phones and other electronic devices. If you wish to speak or submit a written comment, please complete a comment card for each item and submit to the City Clerk prior to the public comment portion of the item. I will now call this meeting to order. We begin with our land acknowledgement. The City of Agoura Hills acknowledges that we occupy land originally and still inhabited and cared for by the Chumash Nation. Descendants of Chumash still remain, and we honor and pay our respects to their elders and various groups that make up the past, present, and emerging as they continue their stewardship of our lands and waters. We have a responsibility and commitment to elevate the stories, culture, and community of the original inhabitants of the city of Agoura Hills. And we are grateful to have the opportunity to live and work on these ancestral lands. We will now say the Pledge of Allegiance, and I will ask Amy Brink to lead us. Thank you. I will defer to the City Clerk for the roll call.
Thank you. Good evening. Councilmember Anderson.
Here.
Councilmember Anstead.
Here.
Councilmember Klein-Lopez.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Wolf.
Here.
Mayor Sylvester.
Here.
Mayor Sylvester, you have a quorum.
Thank you. There is no report out of closed session since we didn't have one this evening. And now we'll move on to the approval of the agenda. Will the maker of the motion and the second to approve the agenda state your names?
Mayor Pro Tem Wolf, I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
City Councilman Chris Anstead, second.
Thank you. I'll defer to the City Clerk for the roll call vote.
Councilmember Anderson.
Aye.
Councilmember Anstead.
Aye.
Councilmember Klein-Lopez.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Wolf.
Aye.
Mayor Sylvester.
Aye.
Mayor Sylvester, you have approval 5-0.
Thank you so much. And now the fun part. We are moving on to, do we have Deputy Darcy here yet? Do you want it to go first? I can go in the order. Okay, good. All right. Let me find my notes. We're going to start with our business of the month. Welcome, everyone. I'm really happy to announce that the business of the month is Johnny Gyro Karate. For 30 years, Johnny Gyro Karate has served our community by not only teaching martial arts, but by building character in students of all ages. Under the leadership of Grandmaster Johnny Gyro and his wife, Noel Gyro Potter, this Agoura Hills studio has created a supportive and empowering environment where kids, teens, and adults can grow in strength, self-control, and respect. Whether it's through after-school programs, championship training, or community outreach, the impact of Johnny Gyro Karate goes far beyond the dojo. Families in our city know it's a place where students gain more than just a black belt. They gain life skills, mentorship, and a sense of belonging, and most importantly, friendships. We're so thankful for the role this business plays in our community, not just as a martial arts studio, but as a positive force in the lives of so many Agoura Hills residents. And on a personal note, I would like to thank you for everything you did for our children, Peter and Louise, when they were young and attended your karate classes. And also for your support of my Girl Scout troop. Erin, sitting right here, is one of my Girl Scouts, when you gave them lessons in self-defense. So I would like to hand the mic over to Dr. Mark Silverman, and he's going to say a few words. Yes, come up here.
Thank you, Mayor Sylvester, and good evening, everyone. It is a tremendous honor to stand before you today as we celebrate a truly remarkable milestone, 30 years of Johnny Gyro Karate serving the Agoura Hills community. In January of 1998, I decided that I wanted to add to my martial arts training of judo by enrolling in a karate studio. However, I was not evaluating the location and instructors just for myself, but for my young daughters as well. I visited every karate studio in the area, and from the beginning, Johnny Gyro Karate was very different than all the others. It felt like more than just a dojo. It felt like a family. There was a warmth, respect, and a sense of belonging that set it apart. I still remember meeting Mr. and Mrs. Gyro for the first time. I scanned the many drawings made by their youngest son, Harley, that were proudly posted on their office wall. It was hard to hold back my smile. That day, after speaking with the Gyros, I sat and observed both the children's and adults' beginning and advanced classes. I was impressed with the palpable respect for Mr. Gyro and his instructional methods at each of the levels and for all of the ages. That evening, while I was having dinner with my family at the Old Macaroni Grill in Westlake, Mr. Gyro saw me. He came over to us and said hello, remembering my name and even my daughter's names, even before we had made the decision to join his karate studio. That simple gesture said everything about who he is, someone who sees and values every student and every person as an individual. It solidified my choice for my family and me to become students of Johnny Gyro Karate. Over the years, Mr. and Mrs. Gyro's guidance and philosophy have shaped my family and all of his students in ways that go far beyond martial arts. There are many Gyro pearls of wisdom, such as karate is for defense, not offense, respect yourself, keep your head on a swivel. These weren't just lessons for the mat, they were lessons for life. My daughters both achieved the rank of first red belt, and I'm proud to say I have earned my black belt. But the real accomplishment was everything we learned along the way. I'll never forget how Mr. Gyro would ask the children at testing time, who's nervous? Then he'd tell them it's okay to be nervous when something is important to you. That message stuck with all of us, kids and adults alike. Whether it's the child who walks through the door shy and uncertain or the adult seeking confidence and community, this karate studio welcomes everybody with open arms and high standards. The lessons taught here go far beyond kicks and punches. They are lessons of perseverance, integrity, and self-worth. For the children of Agoura Hills, Johnny Gyro Karate has offered guidance, focus, and a safe, supportive environment. For the adults, it has been a place of growth, fitness, and personal challenge. And for families, it has brought people closer together, united by shared goals and mutual respect. Thank you, Mr. and Mrs. Gyro, for building a place where we learn to protect ourselves, push our limits, and believe in our worth. Thank you for 30 years of commitment to the community. Here's to the next chapter of inspiration, discipline, and strength. And to my dear friends, John and Noel, you have my deepest gratitude, admiration, and respect. Thank you.
Would you like to join us? Would you like to say a few words? Thank you. Thank you. I'm going to hand the mic to you.
Oh, no. I don't know what to say after that. And some of your children took from us, and I told Mr. Gyro we don't go anywhere in this amazing city and not see families that are or were, and in many ways are still with us, like the Silvermans. What John and I do for a living is not work at all. And we started out 30 years ago wondering if our passion and our love for what we did was going to be enough. And we told each other it will be. It will be. When you love what you do and you believe in what you do, it'll be all right. And it turned out to be more than all right. We've made friends for years and have experiences that we could never have imagined. And the city of Agoura Hills welcomed us as two much younger new business owners starting out. The city helped us through the procedures, what to do. We gave back as much as we could of time, energy, and funds because we owed it to the city of Agoura Hills that made us who we are, quite honestly. And the families in this city looked like they were handpicked. And the students that came through our door looked like they were shills, but they're real people with real lives and real problems and real hurdles to get over. And if we made one scintilla of difference in their lives, then we set out to do what we set out to do every day, which is make their lives better. But none of our students ever knew, like the Silverman family, what you did for us, to give us the opportunity to do what we love to do and to make a difference in your lives, and for us to be welcomed into all of your lives, the world and the family of Agoura Hills. We could not be more grateful, and we hope that we can do it for many, many more years, and it's just been an honor and a privilege for both of us to have started out in Agoura Hills and to still be here today, 30 years later. It seems like a dream. So thank you to all of you from the bottom of our hearts, and to the community and the surrounding communities for being so gracious and so willing to accept us and allowing us to do what we do. Thank you so much.
Do you want to say anything? You want to gotta say something.
I am not a speaker. Noel is a speaker. When I'm at home, she does the talking, I do the listening. That's how it is. But I got to tell you, there's something that's so overwhelming that I have little guys come in, they're 5, 6, 7 years old. The parents are talking to me, and they say, "Do you remember me?" And I say, "Oh, where do I know you from?" She goes, "I was their age when I came to your classes." And I'm like, "Oh my God, how old am I?" And you really don't know, because you're going through step by step by step, doing what you do and doing what you love. And it's so much fun watching them grow and do what they do. And then they go off to college, and then they come back to visit, and they tell you all their experiences. And I'm like, oh my God, I still remember you as a 5-year-old running around, and where did the time go? And I have circus mirrors in my house because I don't see myself getting older. I just see everyone else getting older until I see a picture of me. And then I realize that it's working. But I can't thank you all enough for what you guys do. When people come through that door and they ask for help and we're able to help them, it just makes literally our dream come true. And I can't thank you enough for everything.
Well, I've got another client coming. Peter's having a baby in September.
Oh, congratulations. Oh my God.
So let's take a picture. We have a second presentation, correct? Do I have that? Who's giving that? Because I don't see a script for me. Oh, it's in the government. Oh, right. Okay, good. Well, that was fun. All right, so we're moving on to Intergovernmental Special Purpose Committee and Departmental Reports. And we're going to start with the Ryes Adobe Days update. I'll defer to Amy Brink, the Director of Community Services.
Thank you, Mayor Sylvester. Good evening, City Council. I'd like to actually turn it over to Recreation Manager Nick Newkirk to give you an update on Ryes Adobe Days 2025.
Thank you, Amy. Good evening, Madam Mayor, City Council. We come tonight to give a brief introduction to the 21st annual Ryes Adobe Days. City staff has been hard at work since the 20th annual Ryes Adobe Days concluded. This is a year-long event for our department now. This year's dates will be October 3rd, 4th, and 5th, 2025, and like I said, it is the 21st annual, so we are super excited. But the reason we are here tonight is we are so excited that we get to announce our Grand Marshals for this year. Hang on, there we go. Chaplain Phil Reeves and Deputy Darcy, who are sitting in the back. Phil Reeves is a retired police sergeant and patrol watch commander who served in the San Gabriel Valley for many years. After retiring, he joined the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department as a volunteer patrol chaplain, serving the deputies and the staff of the Malibu Lost Hills Station, as well as community members facing crisis or trauma. Phil is also a nationally board-certified chaplain. He holds a graduate degree in theology and arts and is currently pursuing a doctor of ministry. Phil is honored to serve as Darcy's +1 at this year's Ryes Adobe Days parade. Phil is also a very well-known person in the entertainment industry, which we'll get to at a later date. Deputy Darcy is a certified post-traumatic stress canine assigned to the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department, Malibu Lost Hills. Darcy serves the deputies and the staff. She is a fixture at the station and available during times of crisis or after stressful calls. She also supports our citizens in critical moments. She loves all people, especially kids. At home, she enjoys long walks, belly rubs, squeaky chew toys, and snuggles. I can honestly say I have never said that about another Grand Marshal before. Darcy was trained 3 years for her facility dog duties by Guide Dogs of America and accredited by Assisted Dogs International. Her service was made possible by GDA's generous donations. We are thrilled to have Chaplain Phil Reeves and Deputy Darcy. And I think at this point we would like to ask the City Council to come down and take a picture with our Grand Marshals, if that's okay. You will be seeing lots more about Chaplain Reeves and Deputy Darcy as we get closer to the event in October. Thank you guys so much for coming. We also are thrilled to announce that we have a title sponsor for this year's Ryes Adobe Days. Mayor Sylvester was with me when they agreed to do it. Secon Dental, one of our major sponsors, is going to be our title sponsor this year. We will be asking them to join us at our council meeting when we present the entire Ryes Adobe Days event in August. As I mentioned, we have a wonderful staff, but we cannot do this event without our RAD Executive Committee, chaired by our very own Randy Powler, who's been with us since the very, very beginning. We have a wonderful crew, everyone hard at work, digging in all the details of everything that happens at this wonderful event. Like I said, we'll be inviting the committee, along with other details to come in our meeting in August when we present the entire event. RyesAdobeDays.org will be live on July 1st. So we are putting on the final touches literally as we speak. So on July 1st, you'll be able to register for the run. You'll be able to register for Night at the Adobe. You'll be able to see Chaplain Reeves and Deputy Darcy on the front page of our website. All the good information that happens for Ryes Adobe Days. We are thrilled and excited to present the 21st Annual Ryes Adobe Days the weekend of October 3rd, 4th, and 5th, 2025. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And to confirm, all of that information will be on our new website?
Yes, it will.
Yes, thank you. All right, moving on, the Las Vegas Malibu Council of Governments update. That's me. So this month's COG meeting, the staff is continuing to work on the Regional Smart Cities Fiber Network contract. Malibu Mayor Marianne Riggins has been appointed to the Metro San Fernando Valley Service Council. She replaces Dennis Washburn, who served all of us for 12 years, and we all said a big thank you to him. We approved the 25-26 COG budget. City dues will remain at $25,000 per year. We extended the contracts for the Executive Director, Terry Dipple, the COG Homeless Coordinator, Gabriel Graham, part-time admin support for LA County reporting, and Metro Board Deputy Ara Najarian. All contracts are fully reimbursable through county and state funds. The next COG meeting will not be until August the 19th. And then, as a follow-up, Terry Dipple, the COG Executive Director, and I held a Zoom meeting with members of Lindsay Horvath's staff to discuss the changes coming to Camp Kilpatrick. the Juvenile Detention Center in the Santa Monica Mountains. The probation department has been ordered to do a major restructuring of its holding facilities, and as a result, Camp Kilpatrick is transitioning to an all-girls and gender-expansive youth facility with age ranging from 14 to 20. Previously, there were only male inmates over the age of 18. The goal is to consolidate all the different services for girls into one facility. They're hoping the transition will be complete by early fall. Previously, there were approximately 20 male residents, and under the new structure, this could increase to a maximum of 50, and the facilities are being updated to accommodate the changes. So that's the COG report. I will move on to the Santa Monica Mountains Conservancy Advisory Committee update, and I'll defer to Council Member Anderson.
Thank you, Mayor Sylvester. I confess I was actually up in Davis helping my pumpkin move back into her apartment, so I missed the meeting in person, but I checked in with a fellow advisory council member, and the report back was we approved a lot of money. So highlights, which is what the Conservancy Advisory Council mostly does. We are fortunate to have this intergovernmental agency that has resources to dedicate in non-wildfire times, mostly to, they've helped us, well, you guys know this, helped us acquire lots of open space. Now, as so many of us need to be doing, they are focused, so not 100%, but there is a lot of wildfire resilience on their agenda. So they had 3 projects that were all about wildfire resilience in different areas. There is a project that is a little wildfire resilient that is in our backyard. It was improving the training facility upgrades at King Gillette Ranch for fire safety, a $1.9 million grant, plus capital improvements at King Gillette Ranch. And a $225,000 grant. This one is not wildfire, but it's in our backyard for the Simi Hills and Santa Susana Mountain portions of the LA Watershed Project. And that's it.
Thank you, Anna. I was remiss because I should have deferred to our city clerk before you spoke, so I will defer to her now.
Thank you, Mayor Sylvester. The city did receive written public comments from Jess Thomas, representing the Old Agoura homeowners regarding this item, and they were forwarded to the City Council and will be part of the permanent record.
Thank you so much. Are there any reports from staff? Seeing none, are there any other reports from City Council? Seeing none, we will move on to public comments. This section is reserved for persons wishing to speak on items not listed on the agenda that are under the subject matter jurisdiction of the City Council. If you have something to distribute to the City Council, please do not approach the dais. Hand your item to the City Clerk, and she will distribute to us on your behalf. Public testimony is limited to 3 minutes per speaker, and a speaker's time may not be transferred to another speaker. Persons addressing the City Council shall not engage in disorderly conduct that disrupts or otherwise impedes the orderly conduct of the meeting. I will now defer to the City Clerk.
Thank you. The city did receive a public comment from Jay Crutcher that was distributed to the City Council and will be part of the permanent record. And we do have 2 speakers this evening. The first is Jay Crutcher, followed by Allison Johnson.
Thank you. Welcome. You'll have 3 minutes to speak, ending when the red light appears on the podium. And I would just like to point out for those in the audience and watching at home that during the public comments section, the City Council cannot make any comments. We just listen and then defer to staff if there is an issue. Thank you. Please begin.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you for the opportunity to speak about a wildfire mitigation effort that could start immediately. As you know, the city's community wildfire risk assessment should be complete in September, leading to a second phase community wildfire protection plan for completion in September 2026, leading to a series of grant applications to improve safety and resiliency in Agoura, probably starting in 2027. Additionally, at the state level, CAL FIRE is finalizing guidelines for Zone 0 to reduce or eliminate combustible things, mostly landscaping, in the first 5 feet surrounding homes. They were supposed to be done in January 2023, and are not enforceable for homes in high or moderate fire hazard severity zones. They're also not going to be enforced until 2029 at the earliest. What I'm asking you to consider is an Agoura municipal ordinance that's been around since 1993, Section 9606.3, limiting the height of privacy hedges to 6 feet. Firefighters will describe these hedges as connective fuels. Property owners in Pacific Palisades might describe them with a variety of four-letter words. In Agoura, it's not difficult to find privacy hedges that exceed the allowable 6 feet. I've seen them reach 15 to 20 feet tall, and that's a lot of connective fuel. There's an analogy to automotive safety. Just as with wildfire, no single thing can completely mitigate safety risks. I could spend 3 minutes and not be able to name all the things in your car that work to keep you and everyone else on the road safe. Just as you wouldn't deliberately disable the airbag or seatbelts or power steering, the city should not overlook an ordinance that helps to mitigate wildfire risk and reduce connective fuel in our community. It's not enough to expect neighbors to talk about excessively large hedges, to have information or diplomacy skills to accomplish much on a community scale. We don't expect drivers on the 101 to talk to each other about speeding or drunk driving habits. We do rely on government authorities to educate and enforce the rules for the collective safety of all. While this ordinance probably wasn't intended to address connective fuel loads, I'll make another analogy to Al Capone and his conviction for tax evasion. It was creative, and it made an impact. Whatever approach you decide to take to address connective fuel in Agoura will not completely solve for all the wildfire risk, but it is something real that can reduce the risks we face today, and it's in your authority to make a policy decision to do so now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Allison Johnson.
Hello, Council. Thank you so much for letting me speak tonight about an issue that I have noticed and wanted to raise to people's attention. As I take a deep breath now, I'm thankful that that breath is free. And I think to myself, what would it be like if it wasn't free? Maybe every minute of breathing would be 50 cents, or even worse, $1. And life-saving oxygen is all around us, and it fills this very room, but some people feel it should come at a price, and I'm talking about gas station owners and their infamous air pump scams. How often have you paid to fill your tire not knowing that you did not have to pay? Most people don't realize this, but California law requires every service station in this state to provide during operating hours water, compressed air, and a gauge for measuring air pressure to the public for use in servicing any passenger or commercial vehicle. And despite this being a law since the year 2000, I see every gas station in the city and beyond advertising with stickers. Air, $1.50 for 4 minutes. Air, $2.50 for 5 minutes. Not only is 5 minutes a ridiculously long amount of time for air, they asked us to pay through traditional coin slots, and I've seen gas stations that I frequent even add card readers in the last 6 months to their air machines, waiting for people like us to pay unknowingly, earning them hundreds of extra dollars a year as they laugh their way to the bank. And these crooked owners have been disgustingly capitalizing on this for years, betting on the fact that most people will see a sign asking for money and pay for air without knowing their own rights. In their busy lives, they don't realize that not only is the air that we breathe free of charge, but so is the air in their tires, their pool floaties, and that one soccer ball that's constantly leaking air. But the true leak here is not our balls, it is our wallets. And as our local gas stations gouge their own community by taking funds that are not legally theirs, profiting through misinformation and unclear messaging, it inflates the price of gas as well while we inflate our tires and take some more. And what they are really inflating is their egos and their wallets. Is the law not sacred in the city? Is the city not meant to be a haven and escape from the corruption and hypocrisy of the big city? How can we protect all of us from draining our life savings on lies? I do have pictures as evidence, even though I can't really show them to you now, but of the air machines advertising a price alongside tap-to-pay card readers or traditional coin slots, there are many, and in many cases I go in and ask them to turn the air on, and they do, but they just try and shoo me away, because they would rather I pay. But I shouldn't have to do that, and I'm here today asking to free the air by asking that all gas stations in the city of Agoura be required to add a sticker or an emblem that makes it well known to the public that this air is free, so as not to cause our residents to cough up their hard-earned dollars to these relentless, as I call them, gas holes. A time of inflation and economic uncertainty, in a time where we're asked to tip for everything, including coffee, and as I recently learned, babysitting, Let's do the public a service by telling them about the few times that we do not have to pay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think she's going to get an answer outside. Thank you, Denise Thomas. All right. Are there any other speakers?
We do not have any further speaker cards.
All right. We are now moving on to the council consent calendar. This section is reserved for persons wishing to speak on items on the consent calendar. I will now defer to the city clerk.
Thank you. We did not receive any written correspondence or have any speaker cards.
Thank you. Are there any questions from the city council on the consent calendar? Seeing none, I will now call for a motion and a second to adopt the consent calendar.
City Councilman Chris Anstead makes the motion to adopt the consent calendar.
Councilmember Anderson seconds.
I will now defer to the city clerk.
Councilmember Anderson,
Aye.
Councilmember Anstead,
Aye.
Councilmember Klein-Lopez,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Wolf,
Aye.
Mayor Sylvester.
Aye.
Mayor Sylvester, you have approval 5-0.
Thank you. We are now moving on to the budget discussion. Our next item is a discussion to consider the adoption of 4 resolutions related to the city's compensation plan, the California Public Employees Retirement System, CalPERS, contribution amounts, increasing the employer contribution to the healthcare premiums for council members, and amending the Mission Square Retirement Governmental Purchase Plan 401A Adoption Agreement, and approving the 5th Amendment to the City Manager's Employment Agreement and the City Manager's Performance Bonus. I will now defer to Human Resources Manager Celeste Bird for the staff presentation.
Thank you. Good evening, Honorable Mayor and members of the Council. SB 1436, which was passed by the state in August 2016, amended the Brown Act to require that prior to taking final action on the operating budget, the City Council shall provide an oral summary of any changes in salaries, salary schedules, fringe benefits, or for any executive, management, or employees on a contract. Accordingly, before the City Council this evening, as part of this agenda item, is a recommendation to approve a salary and benefit package for the non-represented full-time executive, management, and contracted employees. The non-represented management consists of the city manager, assistant city manager, deputy city manager, building official, city clerk, and all department heads. It should be noted that other than the aforementioned executive management positions, the city does not have any other employees on a contract that fall within the SB 1436 reporting requirement. For fiscal year 2025-26, the benefit package before the City Council includes a 3.1% COLA increase for full-time staff effective July 1st, 2025. An increase to the maximum employer contribution towards health insurance from $2,750 per month to $2,900 per month effective January 1st, 2026. An increase to the maximum employer contribution towards health insurance for council members to match the recommended contributions for full-time employees from $2,750 per month to $2,900 per month effective January 1st, 2026. An increase to the city's matching contribution to the deferred compensation plan to a dollar-for-dollar match not to exceed $120 per pay period for general employees effective July 1st, 2025. An increase to the city's matching contribution to the city's deferred compensation plan to a dollar-for-dollar match not to exceed 3% for executive staff based on their annual salary effective July 1st, 2025. Established the CalPERS Classic Employee Contribution as 5% effective July 1st, 2025, and the PEPRA Employee Contribution as 7.75% as established by CalPERS. Pursuant to the City Manager's Employment Agreement, the recommended action is to amend his agreement to include a 3.1% increase in pay, which would establish a base pay of $298,568.81. increase the city manager's auto allowance from $500 to $550 a month, a 1.5% increase to the city's contribution to the city manager's 401A retirement savings plan, not to exceed 6.5% of the city manager's salary. Based on the city manager's continued exceptional performance, the city manager will be given a performance bonus of $15,000 for fiscal year 2025-26. Providing this information complies with the requirements of SB 1436, and this concludes the staff report at this time. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Before we move on to public comment, does any council member have any questions of staff? Seeing none, I will defer to the city clerk.
Thank you. We did not receive any written correspondence, nor do we have any public speakers for this item.
Thank you. Does any council member have any further questions? Seeing none, we'll now move on to deliberations. I'll start with Council Member Anstey.
I think one of the things that I want to say about this item is that, first of all, our city manager works long hours, and a good example actually is this weekend where we had a brief power outage, and he was being texted on the weekend on his time off, and so I think this is well deserved. It's actually well within the norm of other city managers in our area. And actually, if we could, I would like to obviously would pay him even a bigger bonus, because I think he's done a great job this last year for our city, and you can always count on him no matter what time of day and or evening and or the weekends. And so I think very fair, and especially when it's in line with other employees and it's somebody that doesn't like to take bonuses or pay above the rest of his employees, and that shows great leadership. And so I just want to say I think it's definitely fair and ready to move forward.
Thank you. Councilmember Anderson.
So I will echo everything that Councilmember Anstead said. I will add that I'm delighted that we are approving a balanced budget in these times without too many painful cuts. That is not a given around in other jurisdictions. And I will add that I am equally delighted to be supporting the benefit package of our staff, who is amazing. Yes, we have an amazing city manager, and no leader can do the things that they do without an amazing staff. And I'm looking over, and I know I'm looking over at just some of that amazing staff. You guys really, really keep this city going, and so it is a delight to be able to support a benefits package that helps recognize the tremendous work you do.
Thank you. Councilmember Klein-Lopez.
I agree with everything my fellow council members have said. You took the words right out of my mouth. Very grateful to staff for, really putting the needs of the constituents, our residents, our businesses first. You go above and beyond in good times and certainly in rough times. And it's true that it comes from the top. So I'm very thankful, especially in this very tough budget year, where we're really working to maintain the programs that are important for our residents and our community. You do it well. We do it with a small, scrappy crowd, so you deserve to be rewarded for that appropriately, and very grateful. Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem.
I'd like to echo everything my fellow council members said, but the city wouldn't run and wouldn't be successful without a well-functioning and highly motivated staff. And I do appreciate what Councilmember Anderson and Anstead said regarding, we were able to keep a balanced budget and do this. I think it's wonderful to be able to retain staff and make it continue to make it a desirable place to work, because it really, really is. But everything's so expensive, and inflation is going up, and so I'm thrilled that we can do this. And Nate does an okay job, so I'm happy to support it. No, Nate's outstanding, and I'm thrilled that this is included, and echo everyone's comments. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, I couldn't agree with everybody more. When we look around us at other cities and we see the problems they have finding staff and finding good staff, We really appreciate everything that you do for us each and every day, and especially to Nate, who is very quiet, but gets a lot done. So thank you, and well deserved for your bonus. So I will now call, unless there are any other comments, I will now call for a motion and a second to adopt resolution number 25-2108, rescind resolution number 22-2012, and adopt resolution number 25-2109, adopt resolution numbers 25-2110 and 25-2111, and approve the Fifth Amendment to the City Manager's Employment Agreement and the City Manager's Performance Bonus. That was a mouthful. Okay.
So moved, City Councilman Chris Anstead.
I'll second. Deborah Klein Lopez.
Thank you. Well, I'll defer to the City Clerk for the roll call.
Councilmember Anderson?
Aye.
Councilmember Anstead?
Aye.
Councilmember Klein Lopez?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Wolf?
Aye.
Mayor Sylvester?
Aye.
Mayor Sylvester, you have approval 5-0.
Thank you. We are now moving on to the public hearing for our budget. Our next item is to conduct a public hearing to consider the adoption of the city's biennial budget for the upcoming 25-26 and 26-27 fiscal years, setting appropriation limitations, approving budget updates for the current year, and establishing citywide goals for the next 2 years. I will now open the public hearing and defer to the Director of Finance, Diego Ibanez, for the staff presentation.
Thank you very much, Mayor. Good evening, Mayor and City Council members. This evening concludes the planning process for the City of Agoura Hills biannual budget process. After many meetings, workshops, and follow-up sessions, staff is pleased to report that the city's general fund budgets for fiscal year 2025, 26, and 2026-27 is balanced. The fiscal budget for the 2025-26 budget year includes all approved recommendations made by the Finance Subcommittee and the approved City Council changes made during the budget workshop. As a reminder, those changes were an appropriation increase to the Chamber, a contribution to the Topanga Banjo Fiddle Contest and Folk Festival, and lastly, an increase in this year's city's Communities Grants program. The fiscal year 2025-26 budget also includes the City Council goals identified for this year. The fiscal year 2026-27 budget is also balanced. Staff used conservative estimates and planned operations for the second year. This fiscal year has a small surplus of $1,872. Finance staff will monitor the fiscal year 2025 and 26, as well as the 2026-27 budgets quarterly, and will inform the Finance Subcommittee of economic changes or trends, and staff will also present updated recommendations at mid-year and mid-cycle. Staff also would like to remind the Council that all CIP projects are still in order as presented and added during the budget process, and staff will continue to seek out grants to assist with programming and project costs. Regarding the next steps, if the biannual budget is approved this evening, staff will input the budget into the accounting system for staff to start using next Tuesday, July 1st. Since this has been a unique year, staff will monitor the budget on a quarterly basis and inform the Finance Subcommittee and City Council of any trends. And the last step involves preparing the budget for GFA award consideration. That concludes staff's presentation and is ready for questions.
Thank you so much. Before we move on to public comment, does any council member have any questions of staff? Seeing none, I will now defer to the City Clerk for public comments.
Thank you. We did not receive any written correspondence, nor do we have any speaker cards.
Thank you. Before closing the public hearing, do any council members have any further questions of staff? There being no further questions, I will now close the public hearing. And we'll move on to deliberations. I will start with my on the Finance Committee, Councilmember Hanstead.
Sure. Thank you very much, Mayor. We've talked about this budget quite a few times now because we've been visiting it as we've done the goals. And it's great that we, one of the things I always speak to, because I think it is really what one of the primary functions of the city is to keep the residents safe. And we're spending almost a third of our budget on safety items. And so I always like that is a thing that we're focused on. that we, as a city, that we're always, we want to keep our residents safe. We're always worried about issues that happen in our city, whether it's to our businesses or to our residents. And so we've focused on that. We partnered with the sheriff's department on a lot of things. We've upgraded with the video crime room that our local sheriff has. We've also implemented readers in our town that try to make it a safer place for our residents. We've also upgraded our bicycle pathways, our walkways. We've really, I think, focused on that issue over the last, I've now been on the city council about 7 years or 6.5 years, and we really have tried to focus on those issues. And so I'm proud to be on the city council that is able to do that, and at the same time, keep a balanced budget and make sure that we don't overspend and put ourselves in a bad situation. And so it's always been great to work with our finance director, with our city manager, with all of our staff, and trying to make sure that we do that. And so I'm glad to approve this budget and move forward. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councilmember Klein-Lopez, would you like to go next?
Thank you. I made quite a few comments at the last budget meeting, so I don't need to repeat those, but I will say that, you know, while it's a long process for us to work on a 2-year budget, I think it's really, really well executed. We start in March, we finish in June. We should probably start before March. You start before, we start in March. You start long before March. And I'll say, my notes are 2 years worth of things I would love to see, and some of those are feasible and some of those are pie in the sky, but I appreciate that we can just put it all out there, all of us with all of our goals that we've heard from residents and businesses over the past 2 years, and kind of hash it out to see what we can do and what the priorities are. I do appreciate, as always, that we have a balanced budget. It's one of the most important things that we are responsible for as a council, for being fiscally responsible, and also maintaining our healthy reserve. We saw with COVID that you never know how something can go sideways, and our city is always conservative on that front, and it serves us well. So I want to thank you, and again, I won't repeat all of the things that I really love to see in the budget, but I am ready to move forward on what was a long and healthy set of discussions. Thank you.
Thank you. I would just like to add that I don't think Diego and his department ever stop. I think they're going all the time.
That's true. That's true.
Councilmember Anderson.
I echo the comments of my fellow city council members. Your budget is your values, and I am really, I love the budget that we have here in Agoura Hills. As Councilmember Anstead said, a third of it is to safety. That is really, really important to us here in Agoura Hills. Environmental sustainability is really, really important to us here in Agoura Hills. Thanks to some special funds, we're able to continue moving forward with those things. And community services is really important to us here in Agoura Hills. We have this identity as a small town. And it's funny because, you drive from Agoura Hills to Westlake to Calabasas and you don't know quite where those lines are. We're part of the largest metropolises in the country. When you think about LA County, we literally are the largest county in the country. And Agoura Hills is mixed in among all of that, and yet we still do feel like our own distinct community, and that's reflected in our budget. I want to acknowledge that there were a lot of things we wanted to do. I forget what the number of our goals, Diego probably remembers. It was a lot. So we didn't have to make painful cuts, which is huge. There's a lot that we have that are that are priorities to us, that are things that we weren't able to do. So I want to say that out loud because we had lots of folks come and testify and be part of committee meetings that we were able to do some of it, but not all of it. For some of the things, we weren't able to do any of it. So I want to acknowledge that that is hard, and hopeful that we will have stronger economic times in the future where we can do more. And I'm really glad to be able to support the budget that we have.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you. As always, well said by the fellow council members, and it's cliche, but the budget reflects our values. And, you know, some of the highlights include public safety, improving economic vitality, and an emphasis on wildfire preparedness. And I think those are some of the most pressing issues facing our region, our unique region, and we're able to make it work with what we have. And I want to really commend the finance team on this budget document. It's a really fantastic document. I've read through it twice, and it's interesting, and you learn about the city, and it's really well done, and it breaks down each department, what they do, and their finances, and I thought it was really well done. I know it was a lot of work, so thank you for that, and I can enthusiastically support this, and I know that these things are fluid, that the outlook right now it's unpredictable, but I know that you guys will continue to look for funding sources when available. And so that makes me really comfortable knowing, because there were things that we weren't able to include. And I appreciate the nimbleness, too, to possibly revisit some of them. But I do think we are getting a lot done with the limited amount of resources we do have. So great work, and I can enthusiastically support this.
Thank you so much. And I would like to encourage our public to go onto our new website that's coming on July the 1st, and you will be able to look at the proposed biennial budget. It will be posted up there, and as Mayor Pro Tem said, it's very clearly laid out by department, what each department does, and how the funds are allocated. And I think that will help our community learn more about how the city spends their money. And then, this is sort of a direct appeal to our residents. Please help us with security. I know a lot of residents have the Ring cameras now, or a substitute for that. Please register your Ring cameras with the Lost Hills Sheriff Station, because with their Crime Watch Center, if an incident is occurring in your area, they can reach out to you and ask to have the feed from your Ring cameras. That will save all of us a lot of money in detective work, etc. So please help us by doing that. And again, also home hardening. The city is putting money into home hardening, but there is never enough funding for home hardening. So each of us, please take responsibility. Make sure your gutters are covered, make sure your vents are the right size, make sure your windows are double pane so they're fire resistant, and be aware of the surroundings closest to your house so that you are protecting your home. And by protecting your home, you are protecting your neighbor's home. So that's a little plea from me to help all of us, because we all have to do our part. The city is doing as much as we can. So with that, I would like to, I think we can now move on to the city clerk for the roll call. I'm going to make, so hang on, I'm going to read this out, I'll get there. So, let's see. So we want a motion to waive the full reading and introduce ordinance number 24-479. Oh no, that's the wrong one, isn't it? Sorry, jumped ahead. Going back. Sorry about that. So I'd like a motion to consider a motion to adopt the city's biennial budget for the upcoming 25-26 and 26-27 fiscal years, setting appropriation limitations, approving budget updates for the current year, and establishing citywide goals for the next 2 years.
City Councilman Chris Anstead so moves.
I'll second. Deborah Klein Lopez.
I'm sorry, if I may.
And I've got to say to adopt resolution numbers 25-2112 and 25-2113. Got a little confused there.
Thank you. Councilmember Anderson?
Aye.
Councilmember Anstead?
Aye.
Councilmember Klein Lopez?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Wolf?
Aye.
Mayor Sylvester?
Aye.
Mayor Sylvester, you have approval, 5-0.
Right, I'm crossing all that out. So we are now moving on to discuss discussion to waive the full reading and introduce ordinance number 24-479, designating fire hazard severity zones and approving a California Environmental Quality Act exemption determination. I will now defer to Building Official Lucas Quach for the staff presentation.
Sorry. Oh, thank you. Good evening, Mayor Sylvester, honorable council members, and everybody here. My name is Lucas Quach. I'm the city building official. Today, I'm presenting the city's adoption of the updated 2025. I'm going to have trouble saying this multiple times, so please excuse me. Fire Hazard Severity Zone Map. This update is important for our community safety and regulatory compliance. So first, we'll provide a little background on CAL FIRE's updated fire hazard severity zone mapping process. Then we'll highlight the city's responsibilities under Senate Bill 63 and Assembly Bill 211. And we'll also take a look at the designated fire zones in Agoura Hills. And we'll end with staff's recommendation on the adoption of the ordinance. So the designation of fire hazard severity zone is a classification system developed by CAL FIRE and the Office of the State Fire Marshal. Fire zones are designated as moderate, high, and very high based on relative hazards. They are modeled based on key environmental conditions that affect wildfire behavior, such as fuel loads, slope, fire weather, and topography. These designations inform the decision-making process relating to building codes, land use, and public safety policies. So the last time that fire hazard severity zone update for local responsibility area was about a decade and a half ago in 2011. Since then, California has experienced dramatic increase in the size and frequencies of wildfires. New fire science, satellite imagery, and climate modeling, particularly relating to wind patterns and drought cycle, have provided the data to reassess hazard more accurately. So, Senate Bill 63 and Assembly Bill 211 have expanded local government's responsibilities. City must adopt the state-recommended moderate, high, and very high fire hazard severity zone designation within 120 days of notification. Local agency may increase severity designation, but may not lower them. Public review is required, and once adopted, the ordinance must be filed with the Board of Forestry and Fire Protection to ensure statewide consistency and oversight. Staff is recommending the adoption of CAL FIRE designated fire hazard severity zone without amendment to align with the County of Los Angeles Fire Department's adoption. So comparing the 2011 map to the 2025 map, the very high fire designation in Agoura Hills have expanded by 374 acres to 3,890 acres. And for the first time, high fire and moderate fire zones have been officially mapped, adding 413 and 386 acres respectively to the city. So this results in 94% of the city being under some level of fire hazard classification. So the resident in Agoura Hills can find their property using CAL FIRE Fire Hazard Severity Zone Viewer to check online. And the link is, can be obtained from the city website. So a couple of notes for the requirement regarding properties in designated zone. They're subject to the maintenance requirement of 100-foot defensible space around structure for the high and very high fire zone. And there's also the disclosure and inspection requirement relating to real estate transaction under Assembly Bill 38. So as required, after receiving the updated map from CAL FIRE on March 24th, the city opened a public comment period online. Feedback was encouraged and received, while many comments focused on housing policies and were not directly related to the classification or adoption of the fire high hazard severity zone, the public input process helped raise awareness in the community. So please note that land use policy, building codes amendments, and public safety strategy is not a part of this adoption and will be addressed under their separate processes. So based on the updated data, legislative mandates, and public input, city staff recommends that the City Council waive full reading and introduce ordinance number 25-479, designating high fire hazard severity zones and approving a CEQA exemption determination. Thank you for your attention, and staff will be available to address questions if there's any.
Thank you very much for that report. Before we move on to the public comment, does any council member have any questions of staff? Councilmember Klein-Lopez.
So I asked this question when we were in our subcommittee meeting about this, but I think it's important for the public to hear it as well. What would be the benefits of us adopting maps that were more strict than this?
Well, I don't know particulars, but I know that the benefit of, or may some obstacle or some possible liability of adopting more than what is in the state designation, because we might be open those that are not in the designated zone up to unforeseen or possible unintended consequences of other laws that we are not aware of that might impact those classifications.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions from staff? So we will now move on to the public comment section. I will defer to the city clerk.
Thank you. We did receive one written public comment from Jay Crutcher that was distributed and will be part of the permanent record. And we do have one public speaker, Jay Crutcher.
Welcome. You will have 3 minutes to speak, ending when the red light appears on the podium.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to provide some thoughts on the 2025 iteration of California's Local Responsibility Area, or LRA, Fire Hazard Severity Zones. It is an alphabet soup of acronyms and not easy to get through quickly. As you may know, this is the first LRA update since 2007 per section 51181 of the California Code of Regulations. The state fire marshal shall review these zones coincident with a review of state responsibility areas every 5 years. So we're overdue. Please keep this in mind and don't allow another 18 years to pass before the next thoughtful review and update. One of the virtues of the 2007 map is that it labels every single parcel in the state as being one and only one hazard severity category. The 2025 iteration of Agoura's map does not yet include human things like property lines. So it's entirely possible for a given property to appear on the 2025 map as both very high and high fire hazard severity. 2 of the city's parks are in 3 categories, and there are different regulatory requirements for landscaping in the different categories. This can be confusing, and it suggests the need for clearer and simpler messaging. 1, please push CAL FIRE and LA County Fire as appropriate to clean up this 2025 map so that each parcel is only one fire hazard severity category. The City of LA and many other jurisdictions throughout California are already cleaning up and clarifying their maps. No property should be half pregnant. 2, please push for better messaging about the implications of these maps, and in particular the upcoming Zone 0 regulation that will have significant impact on how we landscape our homes. I would hate to see anyone spend time and money to install new landscaping in the next 6 months, only to find that the Zone 0 regulations, due to be finalized and issued at the end of calendar 2025, mean that recent plantings have to be ripped out and redone. 3, in my HOA, we've gone from 23 homes that were very high in 2007 to somewhere between 121 and 148 homes that are now going to be very high. This will be a big change. 4, Please be conspicuous about how the city responds to the changes in this new iteration and model the best practices for all of our neighbors. There's a real herd immunity to any fire mitigation effort. A patchwork of perfection is only minimally effective. For the effort to work, we need to do it together. We need to understand, think, and act with clarity together. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Does any council member have any further questions? Mayor.
Do we have any indication if there's going to be some sort of cleanup version, or is this the final version that comes out? Or are there updates that happen along the way?
I'm not aware of any intent from CAL FIRE to update the map anytime soon.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? We'll now move on to deliberations. I will start with, who would like to go first? Councilmember Klein-Lopez.
Yeah, I don't mind going first since I was on the committee with you, Madam Mayor. This adoption is a little confusing in theory for us, for the public, because I think the public thought that this had a lot to do with our zoning and our building codes and things that the maps don't directly affect, if I'm saying that correctly. So we do just want to make sure that the public understands that this doesn't affect the zoning. It even doesn't affect, what we're doing with our wildfire risk assessment and evacuations. I mean, we're doing all of those things separately. The one thing I want to say is that really as a practice, we consider all of Agoura as very high fire hazard. Our building codes, we intentionally made our building codes strict across the city so that, they were adapted to very high fire hazard severity zone, even if the property wasn't in it. When we discuss evacuations, I mean, we really consider, and we discuss, preparing your home, we are really acting as if our entire city is in a very high fire hazard zone, because it is. I mean, in practicality, it is. When you look at the map and you look at the Woolsey footprint, it's almost, it's almost identical. So I don't think this is going to change our practices in any way. I think we will still continue to be very, very conservative on our messaging and our, sorry, not conservative, very, very aggressive with our messaging and our desire to be as home hardened as possible. The reason I asked about the benefit is because it doesn't seem to me that there is much benefit for us to go beyond what CAL FIRE is asking us, because I'm worried about a few things. If we make the maps stricter, to your point, Lucas, we may have some unintended consequences of people falling into a zone that they're not in. It may add a financial burden if there's the property taxes that are going to be adding to wildfire, like Zone 0 type implementation for very high fire hazard severity zones. And as our public speaker said, we don't know how Zone 0 is going to be sussed out yet. It's still in a very heated, spirited debate on what Zone 0 is going to look like, and that will affect the different zones when you start getting into moderate, which we do have in our city. So I think that we don't get any benefit by making these maps stricter in terms of this adoption. I think our impact is going to be when we do ordinances and building codes and messaging, that we just treat our city as high fire, which it is. I have no problem asking for clarification from CAL FIRE, and if they do not have the capacity to answer us on properties and parcels that are in mixed zones, maybe that's something we can do on at our local level, where, I mean, maybe we can ask staff the same. We could just clarify that if a property is in more than one zone, it's considered the most, high fire zone that it's in. So if it's in 3 and one of those is very high fire, then it's very high fire. Something like that we can discuss. That would be what I would suggest in case CAL FIRE doesn't come back. But obviously, if it's reaching into a high fire hazard severity zone, then that's what you should be planning for. So I'm ready to adopt the maps as is, and always work to keep our community as aware and prepared as possible. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Councilmember Anderson.
So, Councilmember Klein-Lopez, thank you for that. Thank you for the questions. Thank you, Lucas, for that fantastic presentation. And we have these iPads that have the reports, and so I'm looking at the part of the iPad that has Agoura Hills almost entirely in red. So I just want to echo what Councilmember Klein-Lopez said. And I remember walking my dogs January 6th or 7th, I forget which day it was, maybe it was the 7th, and I was really grateful that they were tiny little puppies, so low to the ground, because I was almost blown over. So we were super lucky in early January, because it could have, as we all know, this could have been us. We were spared because we didn't have an ignition anywhere close to us. And this now gives us our opportunity, and the maps are related to this just in the sense of they are such a vivid reminder of how at risk we are. And I took tours of both the Palisades burn scar and the Eaton burn scar with fire experts, and what they said to me is the structures were the fuel in those fires. That's why there is such devastation. And we have an opportunity to help make sure that our structures will not be the fuel. So I'm honestly using this as an opportunity to encourage home hardening. I will go a little further than Councilmember Klein-Lopez. Don't wait for the Zone 0 thing. And I confess I got educated on this today. Thank you, City Manager. So it means within 5 feet of your home, your structure, just nothing. And I will say that I shouldn't have needed that education, because I did have our home assessed by one of the volunteers with our FireWise Council. It is a service they provide, though they are, I think they are under-resourced and they're lacking volunteers, but you too can get a free assessment from volunteers. You too could potentially become somebody, if this was really exciting to you, you could become somebody that goes through the training and does this assessment, and they will come to your home and they show you all the different things that you need to be doing, including, we have this bush that the previous owner, it's beautiful, right next to our garage, that is going to burn right up into the eaves if a fire comes. So I have it on, I don't really have a honey to-do list, but like I was asking Peter this weekend, like, hey, honey, can we take it out? He's like, no, not this weekend. But we're going to take that out. We are going to go ahead and do Zone 0 and really hope that 100% of Agoura Hills residents do this home hardening, because it's like an immunization. It only works if we're all doing it, but if we all do it, there's a chance that if that spark happens in a wind event like that, we wouldn't have the devastation that our neighbors around the county had. So that's my public service message around home hardening and us doing all of this. I too support, and honestly, you guys, the state has said you have to do this, so I support us adopting this map.
Thank you. Councilmember Anstead.
Well, I definitely support us adopting this. I think one of the things then there of note again was like 25% of our city was added to this map based on from the old map. And so again, that shows either, I mean, part of it's from the learnings, I think, of the fires that we've had, already had in the past, and then from the imaging and all that they have better technology now than they did in the past. But I think, again, like all my other council members have said, even if you're not in the most severe fire zone, if you're in high or moderate, you still are, obviously the Pacific Palisades is a good example that you're not impervious to getting hit. And so I think that we all should be taking as much precautions as we can to prevent the fires from spreading. And I think it's just I mean, when we all think back to 2018, it's basically by the grace of God that we did not get taken out in 2018, that Agoura Hills only had 5 or 6 houses, because it was very much hopscotch in our town. We had houses in Morrison that got hit. We had some homes that got hit on the open space, but there was quite a few homes that were hit inside as well. So just because you're not facing open space doesn't mean you're safe. And so I think we learned a lot of lessons from that fire. So I'm definitely ready to adopt this. I think this also shows the importance of the firefighters and the protection that firefighters provide for our city and police with trying to do evacuations. And so again, it shows that we got to make sure those departments are well funded and ready to go. So I'm ready to adopt this. Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Wolf.
Yeah, thank you. Really great points by fellow council members. Building upon what Council Member Klein Lopez said, what I don't want these maps to do is provide a false sense of safety for residents who don't fall underneath some of these in the very high fire zone, because as Councilmember Anstead said, you know, it's random and embers can travel mile or above. So with that being said, I don't think that we should do a uniform and put the whole city in the very high fire severity zone. So I support this as it's written. Yes, and it's interesting that we have increases in the very high fire severity zone. Yes, technology has improved, and mapping has improved, and fire science has improved, but the impacts of climate change are real, and we're facing them, and we're looking at it right here with the aridification of the West, with more unpredictable weather patterns. It's terrifying, and I mean, we are seeing the impacts right here with data, and so it's incumbent on us to prepare as much as possible. I know it's in our budget, I know everyone else has said that, but this just highlights the need to prepare. I can make all the findings and support this. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, I agree with everything everybody has said, but except for one, and that is with the Zone Zero. I don't want to scare our residents yet. It is still under review, and there is a special panel that is meeting right now. No decisions will be made until December about exactly what has to be removed in that Zone Zero. I've been on several Zoom webinars about it. The fire department, one of the fire chiefs said, do not cut down your trees yet before consulting with the fire department, because some trees can protect us and can capture embers and will not burn. So they're working with the science now to determine exactly what has to be done. So we have to be patient. We will know by December, and then our residents will have 3 years to enact whatever those requirements are going to be. But let us wait until, I mean, obviously, if there's something that's really, you know, dead around your house, that's not a good thing. But if you have very healthy plants, please let's wait until December until we know what the final ruling is going to be. So with that, I will now call for a motion and a second to waive the full reading and introduce ordinance number 24-479.
Mayor Pro Tem Wolf, and I'll make a motion.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Councilmember Anderson seconds.
Thank you. I'll defer to the city clerk for the roll call.
Mayor Sylvester, if we could make that 25-479, apologies for the typo.
Oh, 25-479.
Thank you.
That wasn't my mistake this time.
Councilmember Anderson.
Aye.
Councilmember Anstead.
Aye.
Councilmember Klein Lopez.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Wolf.
Aye.
Mayor Sylvester.
Aye.
Mayor Sylvester, you have approval 5-0.
Thank you. Are there any comments from staff? Do we have any announcements? Yes, Amy.
Thank you, Mayor Sylvester. Good evening again, City Council. We wanted to take a moment and remind the council about the fee schedule that was amended and adopted back on December 11th, 2024. Some of those new fees will go into effect on July 1st and then again on July 14th, 2025. Because the fees did not go into effect until July 1st, it allowed for a 6-month review period for our community members. For the public's information, those are increases in fees to services, permits, reservations across all departments. Staff is preparing to launch a campaign that will inform the community. There'll be a copy of the new fee schedule on the website, specifically on the Finance Department's page. The Public and the Community Services Department and Community Development as well, Public Works included. The public will also have access to a hard copy of the schedule at City Hall. If someone in the community has a question, they can reach out directly to the Finance Department or contact the department who provides the services, permits, reservations that affect you. Be sure to visit the website at agorahillscity.org. And then the second announcement I wanted to make, and I think our city clerk will post it. We won't see you before our next concert in the park, and on Sunday, July 6th, we are hosting DSB, the Tribute to Journey. It's a really big band. The community is really excited to see it. But the most exciting part is we are going to be celebrating, it'll be the City of Agoura Hills' 4th of July patriotic celebration with the drone show. And that typically goes off usually just around 9 o'clock, right before 9 o'clock. So we'll have another big social media launch tomorrow with more information on parking, food trucks, some details that'll make your visit to Chumash a lot easier. So happy 4th of July. We're looking forward to seeing everybody at our now very annual drone show.
Thank you so much, and thank you to all your staff for all the hard work you put into planning this. We really appreciate it. Are there any other staff comments? Do we have any comments from City Council? Yes. Mayor Pro Tem, sorry.
Yeah. I want to take a moment to thank the mayor for the statement that she put out regarding the ICE raids in and around our community. It's not something that is distant. It's something we're feeling here in Agoura Hills, from less produce at our farmers markets to our restaurants being shut down. And this, that's what we're dealing with, but the reality for people who are afraid to leave their home, it's terrifying. And I really appreciate the fact that you worked with the city to put out a statement to provide resources, and I think that shows our values, and I really appreciate the work on that.
Thank you very much. Anything else from anyone? Councilmember?
I just want to echo, thank you, Councilmember Wolf, for saying that, and thank you, Mayor, for the letter.
Okay, well, I have a few things. I've been busy. Amy and I, and also with Leslie Stein, one of the board members on the Las Virgenes Unified School District Board, we visited Manor Conejo Valley Private Food Bank in Thousand Oaks. And I'd like to thank Councilmember Lopez for recommending that we do that, because it was very enlightening. Manor provides food assistance to residents of the cities of Thousand Oaks, Agoura Hills, Westlake Village, Oak Park, Newbury Park, Calabasas, and Malibu. And in our city alone, they have 492 Agoura residents who are their clients. So I know we're going to do more outreach for them, and I would encourage our residents to support Manor of the Conejo Valley. And then also, I would like to let everyone know that today was the big press announcement that the Phase 2 of the Wildlife Bridge is about to commence. So that is going to cause some inconvenience to our residents that use Agoura Road between here and Liberty Canyon. That will be closed at certain times, and we apologize, but think of the end goal, the largest wildlife bridge in the world. So thank you for that. And then I would actually call on you again, Mayor Pro Tem Wolf, because Mayor Pro Tem and I did a water tour today, and I'd just like you to give a brief overview of what we learned.
Absolutely, and thank you to the mayor for attending. We also had the mayor of Calabasas who attended, and we did a tour, and staff member from Supervisor Lindsay Horvath's office was there, and staff from Senator Ben Allen's office attended. But we started at what's called the Sepulveda Pump Station, and it's on the Sepulveda Pass, and everyone here has driven by it 1,000 times. And what it is it's the pump station that gets the water from the State Water Project from 440 miles away, and it pumps it down the LA Basin to the Venice station, and that's where it's distributed through the line. And why we went to and why it's so important for Las Virgenes is because this pump only goes one way, and Metropolitan's putting in a multi-$100 million project to make this pipe, the Sepulveda feeder, go both ways. so that we can have access to Colorado River water in years where the state water project allocations fall below, because they fluctuate between state water and Colorado River. And there's an invisible boundary where we don't, every drop of water in Agoura, Calabasas, Westlake, Hidden Hills comes from 440 miles away, and that is our only water supply. So this project's really going to help with the diversify our portfolio. And while the Colorado River is in turmoil itself, and we don't want to be drawing from that, it does provide redundancy and the opportunity to move water a different direction uphill. So that will never be in the situation we were in 2022. So that was the first part of our tour. And the second part of the tour, we went to what's called the Jensen plant, and that's where water from, if you're driving on the 5 and you've seen the cascading water, that's the LADWP portion of it. We went there, and that William Mulholland built that in 1913, and we got a really cool tour. And then we also looked at the location of where the water arrives from the State Water Project and how it's purified and then sent through the San Fernando Valley to our region. And it just highlights the complexity of our water system, how precious it is, and how complicated it is. So I appreciate you attending.
Yes, it was fascinating, but of course all of this means that we are going to have to expect increases in our water rates, although they did tell me that it was a very small percentage. So we will see. But the other thing they said too is that if there is another severe drought like we had, where we had to restrict our water, that because we'll be able to share the water from the LA water basin, everybody will then suffer equally because we'll all have access to the same water. So if we are restricted, they will also be restricted if they're receiving water from the LA basin. So it'll be more equitable across LA County. So with that, the next regular City Council meeting is scheduled for 6 p.m. on Wednesday, July the 9th, 2025, in the Council Chambers of the Civic Center. The Civic Center is located at 30001 Lady Face Court, Agoura Hills, California. This meeting is now adjourned. Thank you, everyone.